Best of the Best Silver Laurel Award from Mercedes-Benz is one of the most prestigious honors that Mercedes-Benz gives to their dealership.
Welcome, everyone, to the Driving Vision podcast brought to you by the Zeigler Auto Group. I'm your host, Sam Dark, and here with me, Auto Group Director of Talent Development, Mike Van Ryn. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, thanks, Sam.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, like it if you do, and leave a comment. Hey everyone, an action-packed Driving Vision podcast this week. Zeigler-sponsored NASCAR race car driver Josh Bilicki joins the podcast to discuss last week's race at Circuit of the Americas. Josh is making progress driving his NASCAR vision these past several races. In fact, did you know Josh was recently ranked second at COTA by NASCAR for passing differential, which means Josh is now second only to driver Brad Keselowski as the best passer in NASCAR. We're excited to see Josh's progress over these races. Speaking of passing, today we'll also talk with Zeigler Auto Group salesperson at Plainwell Chrysler, Ryan Budnick. Ryan is a record-holding collegiate runner, and he'll join us April 24th for the Zeigler Kalamazoo Marathon. But first, Zeigler's Hoffman Estates Mercedes-Benz was recently awarded Mercedes-Benz prestigious Best of the Best Silver Laurel Award, presented to select top Mercedes-Benz dealers nationwide. Let's turn now to the team at Mercedes-Benz Hoffman Estates for more on that prestigious award. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of the Driving Vision podcast. So as part of this podcast, we acknowledge people that are driving big visions in the world and as a result, changing the world. So with me today is CFO Zeigler Auto Group, Dan Scheid. Dan, welcome to the show. So Dan, today we get to acknowledge a store within the Zeigler Auto Group that truly is driving vision in the automotive space. Tell us a little bit about this store and the award they received as a result of that driving vision, Dan.
Yeah, Sam, thanks for the opportunity to share this information. We do have some very exciting news today to share about one of our dealerships and more importantly about the employees and what they've accomplished at this dealership. So the Best of the Best Silver Laurel Award from Mercedes-Benz is one of the most prestigious honors that Mercedes-Benz gives to their dealerships. It's reserved only for the top Mercedes-Benz dealerships in the country. And our Mercedes-Benz dealership located at Hoffman Estates and our team there accomplished this great feat in 2021. So this award, it recognizes the best dealerships as the top performing Mercedes-Benz dealerships with superior performance and customer satisfaction, the overall sales experience, exceptional performance in parts and sales, parts and service, and superior leadership with the management team, the operations of the dealership. And important to note, Sam, is less than 20% of the dealerships in the country receive this award. So 8 out of 10 Mercedes-Benz dealerships in the country are pursuing this award. They want to accomplish this award, but the standards are so high that only 2 out of 10 get it. And our team at Hoffman Estates, Mercedes-Benz, accomplished this award.
Congratulations to the entire team at Hoffman Estates Mercedes-Benz, where the logo Mercedes-Benz, Dan, is the best or nothing. And that team has truly proved this past year that they are the best, period, nothing else stated. So with us today, Dan, is Mike Conley, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz Hoffman Estates, Bill O'Hara, VP. Welcome, Mike and Bill, both. And Mike, would you introduce who you have in the room with you to talk a little bit about this distinction, this honor, and this award?
Sure, Sam, it'd be my pleasure. To my immediate right here, you've got Charlie Troush, Finance Director for really the whole campus up here, but spends the majority of his day here at Mercedes-Benz of Hoffman Estates. To his right, you've got Gary Greco, Parts Manager, key member of our team, and Bob Sullivan, Service Director here at Mercedes-Benz of Hoffman Estates, another key member on our team.
Welcome, everybody. So this is an exciting thing. How did you find out that you had won the award, Mike?
We were notified in an email probably back about maybe 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. We
knew we were very close to winning it. We really won it in our first year of eligibility, which is, everybody knows what's been going on in the world the last, call it 24 months since we went through the buy-sell here. So that's what I think makes it all that much more special to not only myself, our team here, everybody on the team and all the departments, is that despite everything, we rose to the occasion and we did great thing. And nobody ever made an excuse about anything we were dealing with. It. Everybody rose to the challenge, which was the best part.
So, Mike, first year of eligibility, you win it. Had the prior organization ever won it? Do we know?
It's probably been, we were talking about it, but it's been about 10 years or so. Every bit of 10 years.
So a long time. Mm-hmm. So it took a drastic shift in the way that we deliver to our customers and each other every single day in order to achieve and accomplish it. Mike, as you think about this award and this distinction, are there stories that stand out among your team of areas or ways in which your team has exemplified this ethic over the past year in 2021?
Well, I just think that coming in here, after the buy-sell, we had a pretty clear mission, I think, and that was kind of be a disruptor. What was then, what's now is now, and we all accepted that challenge. We had a merging of a couple different teams. Charlie, for instance, been with the organization 12 or 13 years prior to making the move over here. I'd been here 5 myself, coming from another brand, spending most of my life with another manufacturer. Bob Sullivan was the incumbent, so to speak, was here when we got here, and Gary came down from the other organization. And just the way the team gelled as quickly as we did is a testament to them. And I think that just overall, everybody's so happy to be part of this, be part of the Zeigler Automotive Group, be part of Mercedes-Benz of Hoffman Estates, that we just wanted to take this thing to the next level and beyond. And it happened.
So Charlie Troush, Director of Finance for Mercedes-Benz Hoffman Estates, as you think about ways that you're delivering to the customer in 2021 that are worthy of this award, what are a couple of things that you do that help you to serve our customers the best or nothing? Charlie.
Well, I think that you have to have meaningful but deliberate processes for our guests. And when one of our guests comes into our dealership, we do our very best to make sure that obviously they felt valued and welcome. We spend an inordinate amount of money on advertising, and you don't get more than one opportunity to make that impression, whether that's face-to-face in the showroom or virtually. And I think how we deliver virtually is just as important as how we deliver one-on-one, specifically in this space, this marketplace. And I'm very sick and tired of talking about COVID, but it did give us an opportunity to kind of reinvent the wheel in F&I and do a lot of the process virtually. And I think that's changed our industry. And those that kind of embraced that change and those that dealt well with all the adversity that was around them and kind of came to work every day. And, we have a very positive work environment because of that. I think the mindset here is to kind of exemplify our mission to deliver the best or nothing.
You absolutely do that. And actually, it's interesting. I think Dan can vouch that one of the most terrifying prospects is we having our own friends and family coming to us saying, hey, we want to buy a car from somewhere, right? And the big litmus test of a good organization is, can that organization truly deliver a car to a friends and family and have them leaving outrageous fans? And I would tell you, Charlie, as a compliment to the entire team there at Mercedes-Benz, in the last couple of months, my friends and family have bought 2 cars, one that's drop shipped to Kansas, and you provided a remote experience second to none that caused my friend John Carl to leave raving reviews across social media. And they were legitimate, sincere reviews, not just because of who I am and how I'm related to the organization. And then the other experience was my next door neighbor in the West, many states away, who sold a very expensive car to and had it shipped. And both cases, absolute raving fans, not only at what they ended up purchasing and the price they were able to get it for, but the entire experience from start to finish. So being able to deliver that experience digitally to those that need it or direct to those who need it is just super crucial and important. So, hey, Bob, as you think about delivering an extraordinary experience to your customers in the service department, that's a key part of this award. What things have happened this past year among you and your team that define this award?
Thanks for the opportunity to tell you about it, Sam. We've got a lady, Karen Mulcrone, in our appointment department, and she got a call from somebody who had purchased a very expensive car. It was a Mercedes-Benz recreational vehicle. They're very difficult to work on. They're giant vehicles. And this family was traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast on vacation and had called all these different dealers from Indiana through Chicago. Nobody had time to get them in, regardless of what their scenario was. When they got hold of Karen.
And Bob, we're talking about an RV, a Mercedes-Benz RV built on the popular Sprinter platform, right?
Exactly. Yes, sir.
These are the things of cult legends. So not only do we sell those, have those available, but customers seek these out all over the world, not just all over the country. So there's a family traveling, having a tough time finding a way to get service. Go ahead.
Right. They get a check engine light on and it's reduced their speed to 30 miles an hour and it's going to shut the van down in a little bit. And Karen, who's very typical of most of the people in our service department, assured them that they could bring it immediately, gave them the best directions on how to get into the dealership. And then after she got off the phone with them, went out to Gary's parts department, made sure that we were prepared for this customer to come in because the repairs are fairly typical. And she made sure that the service technicians were ready to go when the vehicle got here. Within 3 hours, they were back on the road, ready to do their vacation. That's in a happier way. People created like you said, we created a fan more so than just a customer.
So Bob, it's fascinating. You mentioned that that like it's 30 miles an hour and then it could shut down. Like, is that a safety feature in these all popular Sprinter vans and RVs that cause it to run at a low speed for a period of time before it has an issue?
They don't want to have a failure at high speed.
Yeah.
So it reduces speed so that if something does happen, it's safer to get
That's awesome.
off the road.
What a great safety feature that is, and what a great story. And I tell you, my son wants one of those more than you can believe, and he doesn't know how little he can afford it, right? So that's one of the most popular RV travel. There's magazines written on that. So that we serve our customers in such an extraordinary way, in particular with that, is just awesome. So next up, Gary, would you share with us how your department and area has exemplified this over the past year?
Good morning, Sam.
Good morning.
I would say the biggest part for us was being proactive rather than reactive to the situation, what's going on.
Yeah.
Mike and Aaron were kind enough to let us increase our inventory, and that way we wouldn't be left in the hanging when we needed all these parts. And it's just the teamwork that goes on with the service department, with the sales department. Sometimes it could be us versus them. Here it's not like that.
Yeah.
So the service department is giving me, ideas. Hey, we may need these parts in the future. So we try and get them ahead of time. That way we have them in stock and ready to go.
To your point about it being a team effort, I don't know that there's too many stores where you can walk in and it feels like an adult Disneyland, right? So you talk about extra inventory, the cool stuff that you guys have on the showroom floor, even at a time when other dealers are standing and guarding empty car lots for fear of, inventory shortages. It's Disneyland at Mercedes-Benz Hoffman Estates. You can come on the showroom floor. Mike, what's the most expensive car that you have on the showroom floor today?
It's that GT Black Series. It's a $600,000-$700,000 car.
And you can see that if you can get somebody to lift the curtain off it. It's a beautiful vehicle. There's multiple of those, right? And a great selection of G-Wagons. The Mercedes-Benz Hoffman Estates location is the largest G-Wagon. I heard this, Mike. I don't know if it's true. The largest retailer of G-Wagons in the entire country. Is that true?
That's absolutely correct. When we got in here, it wasn't just about taking care of our own market area, stick a pin in Hoffman Estates and go out 30 or 40 miles or even Chicago or just the region. We wanted to take this nationwide. And whether you go from the northern tip of Maine or to the southern tip of California, we want people know this is a destination for not only those vehicles, but anything Mercedes-Benz sells. So we took it to a whole new level with that. So that's been fun.
And when Charlie talks about coming to the customer where they want to be and delivering an incredible digital retail experience, you also do that in service, Bob. So you may see vans driving around that talk about Hoffman Estates Mercedes-Benz coming to you for things as mundane as an oil change or as dramatic and big as a recall. You're not telling a customer they have to come to the adult Disneyland that is Hoffman Estates Mercedes-Benz. You'll actually bring Disneyland to them. And so to the customers that may see those vans driving around the Chicagoland and even in broader areas, wave to those vans, Bob, because they're out there, right?
They are. We've got 6 on the road right now, and probably be bringing more.
That's awesome. So, Bill, how does this make you feel as the VP of the operations and one that's had purview over this entire Mercedes-Benz experience as it's grown over the past several years? Any comments you would share with the team on receiving this award?
Well, as proud as I am of the team for achieving the award, the Silver Laurel Award, I got to tell you, when we started this journey 25 months ago or so, when we acquired the store, just the employees, we kept everybody that we had, and the quality of employees that we took over was just amazing. And what they do each and every day, and the culture and the vision and the attitude of our entire team goes right through the customer, and you can see that. And everybody is together as a team, and it means a lot. These guys in this room that we see on the screen there, those are guys that get it done each and every day, and our leadership team is just absolutely outstanding. And we're all together, we're all on the same page, and it's just exciting to be part of it. And as Aaron always says, it's great to be on the offensive side of leadership as we roll through, and the award is just another feather in our cap for what we've accomplished here in our first year of eligibility.
So, hey, Mike, everybody who's familiar with the podcast knows that the seminal question of this podcast is, how are you driving vision today and changing the world with that vision? So as you think about Mercedes-Benz Hoffman Estates, how are you driving the vision this year and over the next 5 years that's changing the world and the way your customers are serviced, Mike?
Well, I just think that overall, ironically, I just got done doing some homework for a coaching call that we got next week, and it talked about delegation versus empowerment. And everybody that's in this room, and certainly every member of our team, they're not just teammates States. They're business partners, and that really comes from the top down. Aaron and Dan, and we're certainly given the resources to do everything that we need to do, and I try and instill that. And everybody that's here on this team is, you don't have to check with me all the time. We've got enough visionaries in this room that want to experience the growth themselves, and that's what makes it special. They're not sitting there waiting to be told what to do. Whether it's a service advisor in the lane, they've got some latitude to make decisions to take care of customers. They don't need to check to make decisions based on a dollar. Certainly we'll talk about it, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that the customer experience is paramount here, and that we get brand advocate people that are advocating for the brand, for the dealership, because people can go anywhere and buy a car. We want them to buy them here at Mercedes-Benz of Hoffman Estates and buy from the Zeigler Automotive Group, because we think we're second to none. And like the manufacturer says, it is the best or nothing. We're not aspiring to get anywhere like some manufacturers say, that we want to do this, want to do that. When people come in and look at this brand, there's a certain expectation in service, in parts, in sales, in F&I, and we have to live up to that. And everybody accepts that role. You can't have a day off, whether it's mental, physical. They have to want to do that, and it's got to come from within. You can't force it on them. And I think we've got a great group of people here that totally buy into that vision, that philosophy, and we just feel like it's the tip of the iceberg. We got a lot left that we all want to accomplish. I think I speak for everybody when I say that.
So what I love about your comment and the nodding heads around and behind you is the passion and enthusiasm with your entire team engages every single day. Mike, I truly mean it, that there's no place that's more fun to visit than Mercedes-Benz Hoffman Estates if you want a pickup and you want to be greeted warmly and you want to have a great experience. So I can imagine no better store receiving this award, not only Mercedes-Benz, but any franchise out there. And before I give Dan Scheid, CFO Zeigler Auto Group, the final word, to you, Mike, to you, Bill, Charlie, Gary, and Bob, I just want to say thank you so much for the time today. Thank you for the attention to detail with our customers, for delivering a second to none experience to every single customer who comes through that door. You are driving vision within the Zeigler Auto Group, and you are holding a high standard for every single one of us. So thank you for all you do every day. Dan Scheid.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Bill and Mike, you guys said it really well. It takes an empowered team to make it happen. To achieve the best of the best Silver Laurel Award, Mercedes' most prestigious award, it takes the sales department and the service department and the finance department and the administration, the accounting. It takes everybody all working together as a cohesive team to accomplish such a great achievement. So Bill and Mike and Bob and Gary and Charlie, on behalf of the Zeigler Auto Group, I want to congratulate the team at Zeigler Mercedes-Benz of Hoffman Estates for achieving such a great, prestigious award. This is meaningful for our employees. It recognizes them for all their great performance. It's also meaningful for our customers, recognizing them for their loyalty and their commitment to Zeigler. So thanks, guys. Great job.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, back with us today's NASCAR race car driver, Zeigler sponsor, Josh Bilicki. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Mike, for having me.
Absolutely. So, Josh, last we checked in with you, you were about to go to the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, and race. Tell us a little bit about Circuit of the Americas, how that race went.
Yeah, so Circuit of the Americas, COTA for short, is a very unique track. It's a Formula One track here built in Austin, Texas. For the longest time, it was the only track that Formula One visited in our country. So it's a unique track. We NASCAR Cup Series first race there last year in 2021. It was a complete rain race last year, so this was my first time going there in the dry. It's been on my list for a while, honestly. Road courses are my background in racing. It was my first road course of the season, NASCAR's first road course of the season, so it was very high on our list. Just a learning weekend for us, though, but we definitely punch above our weight. We beat a lot of Penske cars, Gibbs cars. We finished 22nd, so at the end of the day, that was a good day for us, a great points day. It was a fun race, and we learned a lot before we go to the next road course, which is in June, so we have a little bit of time. But it was a good weekend. Lots of TV time for us, and it was a fun weekend.
There was a lot of TV time. And in fact, at the very beginning of the race, Fox opened the coverage right in front of our pit stop, right in front of the car. So you had prime viewing space. And then there were multiple times throughout the race where camera focused on you, which was an absolute fun thing to see. And speaking of the Forum Circuit of the Americas, that's kind of a unique place. We saw the truck race. We saw the Xfinity series. But then there was also, was it Porsches or was it Lambos? Or there was another type of a car that was running the race that weekend.
So last year, 2021, the Lamborghini series raced with us this year. 2022, this year, they weren't with us. But last year there was. So a lot of times.
Okay, so maybe they were playing old coverage because I saw Lambos racing. Was that from last year?
Probably from last year. But yeah, a lot of times on road courses, you'll get basically different series in addition to NASCAR come in and race with us. So for example, Road America race weekend, which is 4th of July weekend this year, there's going to be other series other than just NASCAR racing at the road course. And I think that makes it really unique. When I was still kind of coming up from amateur racing, I looked at a lot of those support series, and they're called support series because they're kind of supporting the NASCAR race series. There's a Trans Am series, there's Lamborghini Super Trofeo series, which is what you guys saw. And it is a very unique track because it's one of the only tracks where these other series races on the track. So a lot of times they try to combine these schedules and make it the most fan-friendly event.
So it was interesting, Josh. There were several times during the race, I was listening to your radio scanner and listening to you talk to your crew. It's exciting to hear that conversation between you and the crew. You really work together as one team, and the crew does a great job of warning you about what's coming up in terms of wrecks and obstacles and things like that. Were there any close calls this past weekend at Circuit of the Americas where you were almost caught up in a wreck?
There were, honestly, which is it's not uncommon for this year, I think, for us to dodge wrecks. But yeah, so a normal oval track will have one spot. Reed Sorensen, he's my spotter full-time for this season. Now, at a road course like COTA, Circuit of the Americas, it's a long track, 3.5 mile track. There's not many points on the track where you can see the whole track. So we had 3 spotters this last weekend. My spotter, Reed Sorensen, was in the best position where he could see most of the track, but he only sees 14 corners or 4 corners. It's a 19 corner racetrack. So we had 3 spotters. So COTA is a very unique track because it has a lot of long straightaways leading to very, very narrow hairpins. I mean, turn 1, you go from 160, 170 miles per hour down to 30 miles per hour, which is slow.
Yeah.
And it's a wide racetrack that just kind of tunnels and funnels in, and before you know it, you're making this really hard left-hand corner. So it's very inviting for drivers to come in and make dive bombs and go 4 or 5 wide, which you saw a lot at the restarts. Well, at the same time, you can't fit 4 or 5 cars through there. So
no.
Sometimes you'll make contact, sometimes there'll be a car sitting there spun, and there were probably 2 or 3 times where you're just basically in a sea of race cars, and all of a sudden the sea parts, and there's just a race car sitting there facing you, not moving. And it happened to me a couple times where, honestly, just quick reaction time kind of steered me out of the way, and we were able to finish the race. Luckily, there were no real severe crashes here. In the past couple of races this year, we've seen some pretty hard wrecks. This one, most of the cars finished the race, and I think at the end of the day, the finish was exciting too.
So it was interesting because on some of those hairpin turns you talk about, it almost seemed like drivers intentionally in some cases went off the track and then came back on it. Like it was pretty exciting because it looked like many people were almost going to wreck, and oftentimes they'd spin out and just join back in the track, which doesn't happen a lot in the oval, right?
No, there's not much room for mistakes. I mean, there's walls on ovals. Yeah. At this track, there's a lot of room there's gravel pits. There's a lot of excess runoff area. So that is one thing that makes these tracks a little bit more inviting as well, because there's a lot more room. If a driver does push to the limits but goes over the limits and makes a mistake, chances are they're not going to hit the wall. Whereas on an oval, they're probably going to hit the wall. So that's why I think you saw some drivers maybe make some really risky moves because they knew the outcome wouldn't be as bad as it would be on an oval.
Yeah. So your reaction time is extraordinary, that you've avoided race crashes, big ones at Daytona, at Atlanta, here as well. We're going to get a chance to test our reaction time to yours coming up. Zeigler Kalamazoo Marathon, April 23rd and 24th in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Tell us how we'll be able to test our reaction time against yours, Josh.
So you guys are bringing a fit light, which I'm super excited about. A lot of NASCAR drivers, a lot of athletes use these fit lights basically just to progress their reaction time, to better their reaction time. I can't always drive a race car. I can't go and hop in a race car right now. Unfortunately, I would love to. So we have these tools called Fit Light, basically to help progress our reaction time. We're excited because we're bringing that to you guys at Kalamazoo, the marathon on April 23rd. I'm going to kind of set a baseline, and we're going to see if you guys can beat it. Sam, I know that you're going to try to set a baseline too, and I know you're competitive.
I'm going to set one on the low end. Yes.
I know you're competitive.
I'm competitive.
I wouldn't doubt if yours isn't as far off as you think, but it's going to be exciting. A lot of family will be there. Family, it's going to create a lot of bragging rights for some of those family members.
That's right. Team Zeigler is competitive too.
Yes, they are. Yeah. The entire team is. We're super excited to have you there and join us at the Zeigler Kalamazoo Marathon. So another thing that I noticed at Circuit of the Americas is there's some press coverage because one of your engineers got ejected pre-race. Tell us a little bit about that process for our listeners who may not be aware of what happens. You actually saw some pretty big name drivers that lost team members as a result of violations. Did you break rules, Josh? And what's that all about?
Well, NASCAR teams always try to get the most out of their cars. NASCAR sets rules, and there's only certain limits that they allow tolerance for how the body's hung, because they're not like street cars. The body can be hung and be a little bit different on each car. So every single team in the NASCAR Cup Series are competitive. They want an advantage. An advantage, just a body hung, just can create a little bit more aero. So we always try to get the most aero out of our cars. We know there are times where maybe we get a little bit too much and we have to go back and try to refine that and get it back into what NASCAR allows. And unfortunately, at Circuit of the Americas, we went through 2 times before passing. So we went through 3 times, but after the second time, they basically ejected crew chief or an engineer for the weekend. So unfortunately, we were without my engineer. Now, the week before in Atlanta, Brad Kozlowski, co-owner of Roush Kozlowski Racing, very similar circumstance, except for he failed 3 times. And then after the race, NASCAR took the parts and took his car back to their R&D center, and they found that they moved something a little bit too much, and they actually fined him $100,000, docked, I think, 50 points, driver points. So it really put him in a hole. So while, an engineer getting ejected for 1 race isn't ideal, we at least aren't at that same level as Brad Kozlowski. Right?
So in NASCAR, it's almost like a pass interference call in football, right? So you want to defend that pass. You don't want the receiver to catch it. And it's kind of balancing that line between blocking the pass and then getting the penalty called. So nicely done. And then you also raced the Xfinity Series this past weekend, and you got spun out in a pretty dramatic crash. So you've avoided a lot, but you got wrapped up in one this weekend. Anything you want to say about that one?
Well, fortunately, we had a very fast race car on Saturday. I feel like we had a top 10 car.
Yeah.
With the new NASCAR practice schedule, we only had 15 minutes of practice and then a very quick qualifying. We had a very small issue in practice that kind of limited what the car could do, just a steering issue. We fixed it after qualifying, but because of that, because we touched a car after it already went through tech, we had to start dead last. So we started last, made our way into the top 20, had a bad pit stop, fell back, came back forward, got spun out in the middle of the race under caution, which isn't even what you're talking about. That set us back. And then with 6 laps to go, we restarted 35th, worked our way up to the top 15, was going to have a great points day, a good finish after everything we went through. And there was a competitor who he made things right now, but at the time I was very hot. He didn't like how I raced him.
Oh, did he?
He did.
Okay. What'd he do? Is it public?
No, he just kind of, him and his father out of their way to basically make things right
cool.
with our race team.
That's cool.
At the end of the day, he didn't like how he was being raced.
Yeah.
And I guess I was just kind of the final nudge. When he was behind me, he was using his bumper a lot. So some of these slow corners, I said they're very inviting.
Yeah.
So he's behind me at some of these slow corners. He's using his bumper, just bumping me. Kind of exactly what we would see in a go-kart race.
Yeah.
And he moved me out of the way a couple times, and we were side by side another time, and he just pushed me right off track into the grass.
Yeah.
So I was really frustrated. Like, we had been through so much in this race.
Yeah.
So going through the last corner, I was behind him. I used my bumper on him. And it wasn't hard. It wasn't enough to spin him out. I didn't push him off track. I simply moved him probably 2 or 3 feet at most. It was a very, very light hit.
Yeah.
And he didn't like that. So we went around the corner. We're coming towards the start-finish line. I was ahead of him.
No.
And on the straightaway, he just turned into me, spun me out, and I hit the wall really hard. It destroyed our car. We went from 16th to 35th. To where we finished. So it was really frustrating. You guys that follow me may have seen I was venting on social media.
Yes, you were, and it's uncharacteristic of you. You were throwing around some things. So I'm actually glad that caused a little resolution on the other side, and that he and they kind of stepped up, because one of the things I've seen about you, Josh, is you see it's not about resources, it's about resourcefulness. And how many times have we seen you, Josh Bilicki, come from back of the pack? We saw it in Atlanta, we saw it at Daytona, and have an extraordinary finish near the front. And you can't control what everybody else does around you. You can only control what you yourself do. And you've got incredible skill, reaction time that has taken you from the back of the pack a handful of times to the front. And that's what ultimately we predict at the Zeigler Auto Group is going to bring you into a top 10 finish at some point in the Cup Series this year. So very nicely done. Mike, you've got a couple questions as we wrap.
Well, Sam, we have to ask a question about training development, right? We love training development at Team Zeigler. Josh, you talked to us about the Fit Light, but what else do you do, outside of racing to get better, train and develop yourself?
Yeah, so honestly, which I think kind of goes hand in hand with the Zeigler Marathon, a lot of cardio. Yeah. Honestly, a lot of cardio, making sure I'm prepared in the race car. It's going to get hot. Circuit of the Americas was a hot race. It was 95 degrees out, so interior temps of the race car was 135, 140 plus. So wow, it's very easy to start feeling worn out if you're not in shape. And these races are long too, so a lot of cardio. Drivers like myself will use a Fit Light to basically help train our reaction time and get it better. I have a shifter cart. If you guys don't know what a shifter cart is, you can go to my YouTube page and just type in Josh Bilicki shifter cart. Very fast go-kart. It's a go-kart, but it's with a 125cc dirt bike engine that has a gearbox. And when they're geared right, they can go up to 125 miles per hour. So that's on a big track.
That's fast on a go-kart.
It's very fast. On a normal go-kart track, top speeds will be around 80 to 90, but the 0 to 60 is under 3 seconds, back down to 0 miles per hour in another 2 seconds. So very fast. It's the closest thing to Formula One without actually being Formula One. A lot of Formula One drivers, they basically hone their skills in go-karts, and they still have go-karts and shifter karts. So it's snowing right here in Wisconsin right now. I'm looking at my window at about 4 inches of snow. But if all that melts, I'm going to try to go karting this weekend for the first time this year.
That's fantastic. You know, Josh, you have a lot of fans at Team Zeigler and obviously outside our organization. But I got to ask you a question. We talked about all these different style of racetracks, right? And we talked about your last weekend at COTA and Austin, Texas. And that's kind of your background, that style of racetrack. But what's your favorite? What's your favorite track that you race on?
Yeah, so like you said, road courses are my background. It's what I grew up go-karting. You know, I started racing go-karts when I was 4 on road courses. So NASCAR.
4 years old?
4 years old, yep, in little go-karts. I'll send you guys some pictures. Maybe we can put them with this. But, I mean, my background has always been road racing, road courses, tracks like Circuit of the Americas. Now, a lot of NASCAR drivers come up through circle track racing. So my favorite type of racing is still road course racing. It's what I feel most comfortable at. My favorite track, to answer your question, is Road America, which I have right in my backyard in Wisconsin here. It's a Team Zeigler race, so I'm so excited to have you guys there. It's a 4-mile track. I mean, it's basically like a big, beautiful campground. It really scenic racetrack. I mean, I think there's like 10 different restaurants there at the track. It's my favorite track. I've made my first professional road course start there, my first NASCAR start there, had my career best finish in NASCAR for the longest time, and just have so many good memories there. So, Road America.
That's fantastic. When's your next race there?
4th of July weekend with the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday and then the NASCAR Cup Series on Sunday, which Zeigler Auto Group will be the primary sponsor for. So I know we're going to have a lot of Zeigler guests there, so I'm really excited to kind of showcase that whole track to you guys.
Josh, we are so excited to see you race at these coming races, both in Wisconsin and then your next up race, Saturday, April 9th at Martinsville, Virginia, which told us is the oldest track in NASCAR. It's an unusual Saturday night race, half-mile track, top speed's 120, and as slow as, what were you saying, Josh, the slowest speed at the Martinsville is? Probably
all the way down to mid-50s, maybe 60s. It's a very small track, half-mile track compared to, Daytona. We start the year at a 2.5-mile track. So to go from a 2.5-mile track to half-mile track, completely different type of racing. I think that's what makes NASCAR the most unique form of motorsports in the world. We race on half-mile circle tracks. We race on road courses. We race on 2.5-mile ovals. We race on 1.5-mile tracks. We race on dirt in 3 weeks. On Easter weekend, we're racing on dirt. There's no other series in the world that has this type of racing on all these different types of tracks. So, yeah, I am very excited for Martinsville. It's a track on my bucket list. It's a very old-school track. It's a Saturday night race, so it's going to be exciting.
Well, Josh, we appreciate you being on the Driving Vision podcast and continuing to do recaps with us here. Will you join us again after your April 9th, Martinsville, Virginia race?
Absolutely.
And we look forward to seeing you as well at the Zeigler Kalamazoo Marathon on April 23rd and 24th and to compete against you to see how we do against the Fit Lights. So, Josh, we appreciate having you here. Mike, thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time on the podcast.
Thank you both.
Hey, everybody. Special edition of the Driving Vision podcast focused on the Zeigler Kalamazoo Marathon. So with us today is advocate Brian Applin. Brian, welcome to the show.
Hi, Sam.
So, Brian, is it too late to register for the Zeigler Kalamazoo Marathon?
It is not. It is not too late to register. You can go online and register at ZeiglerKalamazooMarathon.com.
Awesome. We're so excited to be in Kalamazoo, Michigan for that day, for that race. So, Brian, last episode, Mike Van Ryn and I talked about the cool things that the Zeigler Auto Group is bringing to the marathon. So we're going to bring a NASCAR race car driver, Josh Bilicki. We're going to bring the hot air balloon. We're going to bring AM Wellness, and you'll actually be able to compete against NASCAR race car driver Josh Bilicki. It'll be a heck of a lot of fun. And we're also bringing something a little bit unexpected. So in the ranks of the Zeigler Auto Group, we have a very pedigreed runner. So welcome to the show today, Ryan Budnick from our Plainwell Chrysler show, or Plainwell Chrysler store. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So Ryan, you're going to run the Zeigler Kalamazoo Marathon, and you have a running background.
That's right. Yeah, I've been running for almost 12 years now. So when Zeigler announced they're doing this event, I was very excited to be involved in it.
So actually, your running predates your sales. So you joined the Zeigler Auto Group how long ago?
Almost 2 years ago now, I started in the sales position. So yeah, I've been running long before that. So I'm excited to kind of merge the two together.
So how have you enjoyed selling at the Zeigler Auto Group for the past 2 years?
It's been a tough start. You know, it's hard. It's a big learning curve, but it's brought so many opportunities to me and my family. me, and I think made me a better person overall. And I really just enjoy being with Zeigler. I think the onboarding process is great, and I've always felt welcome with my coworkers and everything. So
one of the things we talk a lot about, Ryan, is how we seek the best talent everywhere. So we want everyone to bring their strengths, and ultimately we serve our customers best. So you have a running background. Tell us a little bit about it. You grew up, I think, in Pennsylvania, and you were running for about 12 years, and you were actually a record holder at college that you went to. Tell us a little bit about how you started running 12 years ago, Ryan.
Right. Yeah. So I initially started running. My parents signed me up for middle school basketball, and basketball is definitely like the sport I'm worst at. But during one of the drills, we'd be doing layups, and if you missed it, you had to run around the gym. And so I just found myself just missing on purpose, so I could just keep running around the gym because I just loved it so much.
That's awesome.
So from there, I compete in the gym class mile and things like that, and just kept getting more and more involved in it since then, and ran through high school, through college, and was fortunate enough to be on a great team in college and set some records with some friends. And so it was a good time.
That's awesome. So what do you enjoy about running? So when you're out running, whether it is a kid to kind of escape basketball or even today as an adult, as a car salesperson, what is it that attracts you to it?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I would say it's a few things. It is a good stress relief. I very rarely listen to music or anything when I run. I just go out and run and listen to my breathing. I think that's therapeutic. But I also just love seeing how far I can push my body and just seeing the different things that you're capable of. It's always very exciting when you think you can't do something and then you finally do it. And it just opens up even more like, okay, well, how much further can I go? And then the community of it. I've made a lot of my friends that I have are from the running community. So
that's awesome. So going back to Grove City College School, you are the record holder. Is this still to date for the 5K, the 3K, and the distance medley relay?
Yep, that's right. That's all the record.
That's amazing. And then you're a two-time Pennsylvania State Cross Country Championship team runner-up, which is also pretty astounding. So what distance will you run at the Zeigler Kalamazoo Marathon?
I'll be doing the half marathon.
Very nice.
So that's the plan. This will be my my third ever half marathon.
Very nice. So what do you expect? Like, what are your expectations coming into the race day?
That's a good question. My goal is always just to run the fastest I can. I've been training up to this, got some good workouts in, so I think I can run fast. I was looking at the course map, a bit hillier than the last half marathon I ran. But, the goal is just to go out, have a good day, have a good time, and hopefully walk away with a good place.
Now, those who see you on race day in Kalamazoo will actually think you look very similar to our NASCAR race car driver, Josh Bilicki. Tell us a little bit about the similarity between the two of you on race day.
People say, is it the looks that are similar or the preparation?
So you may look similar. So help Ryan out. How will they look similar, I believe?
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. We started to talk about Ryan being involved and how he could represent us on race day. And so we kind of went to the workshop, went to the laboratory with Bill Reynolds at Business Rev Solutions, who obviously does all of our gear here at Zeigler. And we were able to put together a special racing singlet for Ryan that's actually going to have a lot of our culture pieces and a lot of really cool artwork on it, but it's actually styled after the race car that Josh Bilicki is driving. So you're going to see the signature yellow and the signature white and black of the Zeigler race car, and it's going to be on a uniform there for Ryan to wear during the race.
So there, Ryan, you may not have known the similarity, but there will be a similarity. And, I'll tell you, Ryan, what's great, you mentioned the community. So at the Zeigler Kalamazoo Marathon, which is actually a half marathon, the real one, the full marathon returns next year, you're going to have yourself, and I would assume you're kind of at the upper end with the records that you bring to the table and kind of the excitement and anticipation of having you join. But there's also going to be walkers for the half marathon, right? People who are there who want to be there because other people are coming out and they want to enjoy that community and they want to enjoy the action of walking and just being alive. What do you have to say to people of all different abilities who've chosen to run the half marathon this year as part of this event, Brian?
Right. I think really all the runners or walkers, no matter your ability level or times you're running, that's really what makes the event exciting. It's just the amount of people that come out. It can be fun to, kind of hide away and train, with just your small group. But really the great thing about running is the energy on race day. And again, that comes from everyone, whether you're walking, doing the 5K, the 10K, the half, whatever you're doing, and the spectators, they all bring energy to the event and make it worthwhile to do the training.
So I've got a station for you that will be there this year. And I'm curious if you've ever seen this in any of your running events. So there's a station called the Bacon Station. And apparently those that are manning it or staffing the station, they're handing out bacon to runners. Ryan, will you be taking some of the bacon as you go by?
I probably have to say that I won't be taking any bacon. Maybe after the race, I'll swing by and grab some. But I've never heard that.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. Yes, that's crazy.
And then in front of the Zeigler stores on Stadium Drive, as you pass there will be a sprinkler tunnel, we believe, and tents. And you'll see a lot of Zeigler team members attired in AM Wellness shirts in honor of that. So to your point about community, it's going to be an exciting day as not only Kalamazoo comes together for this event, but as the whole region comes together and we as a Zeigler Auto Group come together. What does it mean to you to be part of an auto group that supports this type of an activity, running for personal health, whether at a professional or at just an amateur level or a beginner level?
Right. I think it says a lot about Zeigler and really their commitment, not only to health, but just to the employees. And that shows that they care about our wellness and are willing to put these kind of events on. And I think another cool thing is they'll bring a lot of people together that we don't normally see in everyday working. I don't see people from different stores very often. So it'll be nice to have that community, and also shows to the greater community outside of Zeigler that we have this great culture and care about our employees.
Yeah, that's awesome. I absolutely think that's true. Okay, a few questions for you, given your history and the records that you've set. What's your favorite place that you've run? Where do you enjoy running most?
That is a really tough question. Probably the first place that comes to mind would be the state championship course for high school in Pennsylvania. It's a very, very hilly course. So it was always kind of that one race that we always had in our minds or were almost scared to do. But it's in a pretty cool area. It's right next to the Hershey Chocolate Factory.
Ooh.
So I have good memories there. So that's a good place. But yeah, it's tough to narrow it down.
Yeah. So you say you don't listen to anything while you run. You like to just be in the environment. A lot of people listen to music as they run. What's your thought process behind not having music or other distractions on?
Right. So I guess recently I have listened to podcasts every once in a while on an easy run. But when I'm doing a workout or something focused, I like to take that away because I won't have that on race day. I don't like to, aid myself in the other way. But also I just like the disconnect. I think we're constantly on our phones or listening to things or watching things. So it can be a good time to just get away from everything. And I think it can be good for you too.
So in a half marathon, do you ever hit a wall? Is there a mileage area where you kind of hit a wall where it's like, oh, this is tough, and then you have to get past it?
Yeah, it's not nearly as bad as a marathon from what I hear. I've never raced a marathon, but the last half I did around mile 10 or 11, it starts getting really hard. And I'd say maybe with a mile to go, you're just barely hanging on to whatever. It all depends how the race goes, but I'd say, yeah, maybe that 10 to 11-mile mark is when things start going south.
So for Team Zeigler and those listening to the Driving Vision podcast, what do you do to get through that challenge, that mental challenge?
That's a great question. The thing that I always do is just break the distance down. So instead of thinking, oh man, I have 3 miles to go or I have 2 miles to go, think, okay, I'll just make it to the end of the street. And if I can do that, then I'll feel better once that happens. Because you get so caught up in thinking about what's going to happen that you forget about what's going on right now. So the best thing I would do is just say, okay, given the circumstances, what's the best thing I can do right now to make sure that I finish well? And for me, that's often just, okay, let me get to this corner. Or the next 2 minutes, I'll just gut it out and see how I feel. Because oftentimes it's mostly mental.
Yeah.
And you'll get out of that lull and feel better.
Isn't it interesting, Ryan, how racing really is? It's a team event and it's a community, but it's so personal, right? Like so much of what you do as you succeed in running or walking or being outside that way is in your head. And so much of it is getting through whatever it is in your head to achieve and accomplish the goals. Fair?
Yeah, that's fair. It is a huge portion mental. And I think having the crowds helps too. That's why race day is so fun.
Yeah, well, we're all excited to be there with you. We'll be excited and we'll be watching for the person that looks similar to Josh Bilicki, both in looks, I would say yes, but also the gear you'll be donning. And we're excited to see how you do with no pressure for anyone else, myself included. We're all going to come out and walk and run our own race and just enjoy being together as a community in Kalamazoo, of both those living there and in that region, but then also as part of Team Zeigler. So Ryan, any last words for those who may be attending the Zeigler Kalamazoo Marathon on the 24th?
Just keep getting your training in, get excited, and it'll be a fun time seeing you guys out on the course as well.
Awesome. Well, Zeigler, Plainwell, Chrysler salesperson and team member, and also a multiple disc record breaker in Pennsylvania, Ryan Budnick, we appreciate having you on here, and Brian Applin, we appreciate you being here as well. And we'll see you guys all on race day.
We'll see you then.
Thank you, Josh Bilicki, Ryan Budnick, Zeigler CFO Dan Scheid, and the entire team at Mercedes-Benz Hoffman Estates for contributing to this podcast episode. And thank you for listening and making us one of the best podcasts out there. And until next week, how are you driving vision today?